We begin tonight with the mass protests from coast to coast. Americans taking to the streets, voicing their frustrations with the policies of the Trump administration and Elon Musk, the world's richest man. All of this with the latest round of tariffs taking effect today, 10% on most goods coming into the U.S. Thousands gathering on the National Mall for the so-called hands-off protests organized by Democratic activists. Crowds also growing in Charlotte, North Carolina, New York, Chicago, and San Francisco. Many protesting the mass firings of federal workers and immigration policies. President Trump urging Americans to hang tough in a social media post earlier today, calling this an economic revolution that is already bringing jobs and businesses. But the president's tariff rollout has sent markets plunging and fueled fears of a possible recession. We have team coverage tonight. ABC's Jay O'Brien leads us off.
From Atlanta to D.C., Chicago to St. Paul, people gathered across the country today for more than 1,200 separate hands-off rallies that is protesting actions of President Trump and Elon Musk. Here in Minnesota, a rally happened outside the Capitol in St. Paul. Joe McCoy talked with some people that were there about what motivated them to show up.
People are protesting here in Minnesota at the state capitol and across the country as the second Trump term hits its 75th day in office.
We're not going back. We're not going back.
Organizers estimate 14,000 people showed up at the hands-off protest to make their voice heard on everything from tariffs, Elon Musk's role in the government, and Trump's immigration policies.
I think it's important, especially as a woman and a person of color, to show up and stand for our rights.
I'm extremely frustrated, and we have to be the people to make the change.
This was the largest protest in Minnesota since Trump took office again in January. It featured speeches from U.S. Senator Amy Klobuchar and Minnesota Senate Majority Leader Aaron Murphy.
And I want to make sure that my kids and my grandkids someday look back and say, what did my mom do when we faced that challenge?
For some, the choices being made by the Trump administration hit on a more personal level.
I'm a former Marine. I think that cutting 83,000 jobs out of the VA is a very bad idea for our veterans, who we should be supporting.
Brian Ashley has attended multiple protests against Trump since his inauguration, in part because he feels fundamental aspects of democracy are at risk.
Frankly, I think that the right wing has been attacking voting rights for quite a while, and we kind of need voting rights if we're going to be a democracy.
I haven't seen a demonstration this big in Chicago ever.
Like oceans of people.
But it looks like this entire square is full.
When a protest gets too big for Daley Plaza, people stand where they can.
In the middle of the street.
This crowd stands against President Donald Trump and billionaire Elon Musk.
We will not be silenced.
Their message is hands off.
Hands off!
Hands off! A protest against the administration's actions to cut government jobs, shutter agencies, deport immigrants, impose tariffs, and more.
I am concerned about people being kidnapped off the streets and shipped to hellhole prisons. I am concerned about our economy tanking. I'm concerned about the fact that we have a president who doesn't care about people.
Things are being defunded. People are losing their jobs. Just really terrible things are happening in this country.
There's something that every single person in America cares about that these people are attacking.
This is one of more than 1,200 demonstrations happening all over the country. There are protests in all 50 states. Here in Chicago, Daley Plaza is overflowing. After speeches, the people here will hit the pavement to march.
Look at this crowd. I haven't seen a crowd this big. This is great.
The crowd in Chicago marches about a mile. As miles away, hands-off protests take place in the burbs, from Highland Park to Schaumburg to Lisle.
All these people have all of the power right in their hands.
A group of seniors in Edgewater can't make it downtown, so they protest in front of their retirement community.
Donald Trump has got to go! Hey, hey!
A nationwide movement of people who want the country to change its direction.
This goes beyond politics. It's not about politics. It's about caring about each other and showing compassion instead of power hungriness.
This is what democracy looks like. Show me what democracy looks like. This is what democracy looks like. Yes. I mean, I have... How can people unite? It's time to fight! Our body is under attack. What do we do? Stand up, fight back! When human rights are under attack, what do we do? Stand up, fight back! When free speech rights are under attack, what do we do? Stand up, fight back! When workers' rights are under attack, what do we do? Stand up, fight back!
Let's try it again. I think that's a really, really good one.
Regardless of your party, regardless of who you voted for, what's going on today, what's happening today is abhorrent. It's disgusting, and as broken as our current system might be, the way that the current administration is going about trying to fix things is not the way to do it. They're not listening to the people. All they're doing is making sure that they have a parachute for them and their rich friends, and everybody else here that lives here that makes the gears turn for this country are just screwed at the end of the day.
Hands off! Hands off! Our research!
It's not going in the right direction. You know, when I say 70 million people on disability, that's 1 out of every 3 to 4 people in America. So you just can't screw over those people and expect for the country to go in the right direction. Also, the amount of people being unemployed just suddenly like that is going to change the services and the resources we have here in America. It's a bad deal all around.
And research has demonstrated.
I'm glad there's so many people that I think these people are pretty liberal anyways. But people are starting to wake up and realize it's not what they thought was going to happen.
Hundreds of thousands of New Yorkers took to the streets in Midtown protesting against several recent policy changes under President Donald Trump's administration. Kicking off at Bryant Park, demonstrators gathered along Fifth Avenue with signs in hand, marching to Madison Square Park. The hands-off protest Saturday drawing crowds concerned about government downsizing, economic inequality, and threats to human rights.
Quite frankly, it's not just us here, it's what's happening in the world.
I'm actually representing the United Federation of Teachers, and we are very upset about the cuts to the Board of Education.
Women's rights at the moment. I'm pregnant. In case anything happens to me, I want to make sure that I'm able to have the right care.
Losing our money, all our 401ks for retired people. We don't work anymore. You just don't get that back.
The more than 1,500 hands-off nationwide protests were organized by more than 150 groups, including civil rights organizations such as the ACLU.
New Yorkers are here today. Americans around the country are out on the streets saying, no way. We're not going to give up without a fight.
Organizers say slashed funding for Medicare and Medicaid, Social Security, and other programs working and middle-class Americans rely on are a major cause of concern.
Demonstrators from coast to coast are expressing their deep concerns about President Trump's policies, from immigration and tariffs to the firing of thousands of federal workers.
This is a hands-off mobilization effort.
On the move.
Hands-off Medicaid, hands-off Medicare, hands-off reproductive rights.
Marching through the streets of downtown Detroit. Thousands came out to protest the Trump administration.
Just having some guy come in and decimating government as it is with a chainsaw instead of a scalpel, it's pretty radical.
It's going to be a hangover like we've never seen, with the worst depression, if we don't get the spending under control.
Protesters from Ferndale to Detroit to cities across the metro area and the nation saying this movement,
I think this resistance is just going to grow,
is just getting started.
People are going to be in motion from here on out.
We begin with protests across the country and here at home. Thousands of people rallying against President Donald Trump and Elon Musk outside the federal building in downtown Milwaukee. It's part of it hands-off protests taking part at federal buildings, state capitals, parks, and congressional offices nationwide.
Fight back! Fight back! Fight back!
Organizers are calling it the hands-off protest. It's being seen across all 50 states today. This all in response to the Trump administration's cuts to various government agencies.
I needed to do something. And so I'm highly concerned about what Trump and Musk are doing to all the government agencies, especially Social Security, health care, the EPA. The list just goes on and on.
When they told us that they were closing down departments, when they told us to just lay down and take it, what did we do? We fought back.
Thousands of protesters gathered outside the state capitol in Madison today. Police shutting down roads surrounding the Capitol building. The group then marched through the streets carrying signs and chanting.
I am here today to try to protect our democracy, our Social Security.
From Woodstock to Marietta, Rome to Midtown Atlanta, thousands of Georgians took to the streets Saturday as part of the hands-off protest to speak out against changes made by the Trump administration.
This current administration seems to be heading in a direction where they're not really interested in this democracy continuing in its current state, and that is incredibly alarming, and that's why it's really important to me to show up and show out at events like this.
Protesters spoke out about a wide range of issues, including immigration, government downsizing, and tariffs.
Firing all of these people from NIH, from the CDC, leaving the World Health Organization will have incredibly long-term implications.
But Georgia Republican leaders say the changes are needed and will benefit Georgians.
It's just really political theater. And quite frankly, Americans are tired of it, and we didn't vote for that. What we voted for is to put America first. We are seeing our borders not being open and being actually closed. We're taking the crime out of our communities. We're making our government a lot more efficient. We're really looking at different things across the board to ensure that we are putting taxpayer dollars to use and doing so in a manner that I think is much more fiscally responsible.
Georgians who made their voices heard Saturday say they plan to continue to speak out.
He is not a king. We, the people, we must speak out.
Especially in the last few weeks, I think we've all kind of shaken off and realized that it's really important to show up and make sure that the administration knows that we're not okay with all of the choices that they're making and that we're not going to be quiet about it.
For that better day to come, I will not be silenced, I will not be silent.
Hundreds of thousands across the globe are taking part in demonstrations today against U.S. President Donald Trump and his close ally, Elon Musk.
I will not be silent, I will not be silent.
Titled Hands Off, the movement aims to protest Trump and Musk's policies on government downsizing, the economy, human rights, and a host of other issues. In Frankfurt, demonstrators marched through the city center with signs. And in Berlin, they gathered outside a Tesla showroom. A group gathered for a demonstration also in downtown Lisbon.
You're here.
Freedom is at stake in the United States and for the whole world with what Donald Trump is doing. And we need to stand up. We need to raise our voices. We need to be heard. We need to make sure that everybody knows that we will not accept this type of injustice.
The government is taking the USA into basically Germany of the 1930s. It's that simple. He's attacking the press. He's attacking universities. He's trying to tell people what they should teach their children in school. He's taking money from Social Security, from Medicare. People are going to be hungry, they're going to be sick and not be able to get medical treatment. He is destroying, ignoring due process. He is kidnapping legal residents off the streets and deporting them without any hearing whatsoever by a judge, by the courts, and admitting that they have not broken any laws.
We see like his Liberation Day affected the stock market, which affects loads of different countries, the EU. I mean, all the countries except for maybe Russia and a few others didn't have tariffs, but everybody else, even penguins, were affected by the tariffs. So yeah, things nonsensical like that, where allies become enemies. I mean, in World War II, which was the real liberation, we were allies of the US. Are we allies with the US anymore? For the moment, we're not allied with his president. Let's see what happens next.
The policies Trump is following are a threat to the world.
The world as we have come to know it and enjoy it as very privileged Westerners, and it continues to threaten people in other countries around the world. It's not a question of location, it's a question of principle.
The people united will never be divided. The people united will never be.
Some of these people here have signs that read "Hands off democracy," "Hands off Social Security," "No dictators," "Stand up and fight," just to name a few. These people are all here against President Donald Trump's most recent actions, including government downsizing, the economy, human rights, and other issues. People who work for the Trump administration have been saying his policies are in the best interest of the United States. But all of these people who are gathering right here this morning at Young Circle in Hollywood think otherwise. Many of them don't think thousands of federal workers should be fired, or close entire agencies, deport immigrants, scale back protections for transgender people, or cut monies for health programs. So once again, as you can see right here, these protesters are against some of these most recent moves by billionaire Elon Musk and President Donald Trump.
More than 1,400 protests were scheduled across 50 states today. Civil rights organizations, labor unions, LGBTQ+ advocates, just to name a few. They called this the hands-off protests, pushing back on mass layoffs of federal workers, deportations, cuts to federal funding for health programs and DEI initiatives, and protections for transgender people. CNN reports nearly 600,000 people signed up, promising to attend an event across the country today. Here in Colorado, we saw gatherings across several cities, the largest in Denver, outside the state capitol, as well as Boulder and other places in the state. We spoke with protesters who said they're afraid of losing their benefits and talked about the many reasons they joined the crowds today.
I'm terrified that all of our freedoms are going to go away, and they're going to take my Social Security, which I've worked 45 years for.
I'm hoping that it shows that we are united, that we can put up a good fight for this, and that we can't be disregarded. You know, our opinions, our feelings, our anger, things we feel that it won't be just lost.